My experience meeting Mike Dolbo was very different than I thought it was going to be because I do a lot of homeless outreach. So I sort of know what to expect from that population. And typically, a lot of these people are on some type of drug. So they're not typically as present with you as you'd like them to be. I was astonished by how clear minded he was, how smart he was, and how well maintained he kept what little he has. It was overwhelming in a way to see a man so bright be in the situation that he is in. The level of oppression that he has gone through and still to be so resilient was absolutely so encouraging to me, but it also just speaks to the real issue centered around veteran homelessness. Veterans are not homeless for the same reason that the general population is. They're actually easily helpable, and there are resources to help them. We need to better advertise it. Veterans should feel toward Mike Dolbo like, one, they never want to end up there. So if you're reading this story and you're one of the 1.3 million veterans at the brink of homelessness, you need to reach out to us, to other resources, to other veteran organizations, and reach your hand out for some help before you end up living in a trailer with no running water and nowhere to use the restroom. I mean, this trailer that he got was completely rat-infested drug house when somebody gave it to him. It took a ton of his time just to make it livable. I mean, it's actually a very harsh reality that he lives in. But I think veterans should feel like, I wonder how many of us are in this situation. What could I actually do to help somebody? Because I think we look at it like such a big problem. You just go, where do you start? There's 33,000 veterans on the street, 1.3 million at the brink of homelessness. What can you do? Well, you can do what we did. You could go help one guy. Mike Dolbo's our guy. We decided to help him with our time and resources and love and care. Most people can rally together. Go find 3 or 4 of your friends, find a Mike Dolbo, wrap your arms around them, and show them that love and attention that they need. When Mike shared his story with me, it was had so much gravity to his story. I mean, every time I thought he hit his stride, and I was like, wow, that is a story, there was a whole nother story behind it. And I think the sad thing about Mike Dolbo's story that's different than a lot of people's stories is a lot of the damage done to him was done by his fellow service members. And I think if you look at the whole of what really goes on in the service, if you look at assault in general, or people are either beat up or assaulted or raped or something like this, that is something that was totally unavoidable. You shouldn't have to go into the service with a side of assault. That shouldn't be part of what you have to endure in order to serve our country. I mean, it's hard enough to serve our country without people beating you up, holding you down, oppressing you. And I went through a similar experience. So hearing this from him overwhelmed me in a way, and we were standing there and he was crying. I'm just standing there looking at him. It hit me that probably nobody really extended a warm hand to him or touched him. And I could tell that when my hands hit his face and I wiped his tears off, I could tell he needed a couple extra seconds of like my affection. And it just made me feel for that whole community. But he sort of represents like a lost generation, a lost group of people that nobody really gives a damn about, and we need to. Well, I think what VetComm is going to do for Mike Dolbo is make sure that we keep him, above water, keep his head above water. Sometimes you're out in that deep, dark water with waves crashing over your head, which is where he was when we found him. We're going to continue to provide him resources, but most notably, I think that we will get him recognized as a veteran, which is what he wants. I think we will get him paid by the VA. We will finally overcome this 38-year challenge that he has been missing the mark on because he just didn't have the right help. That's what VetComm is going to do. But what can the whole of the veteran community do? Like I said before, you need to go find your own Mike Dolbo. You would be surprised that probably not a mile from you is somebody just like this who is literally drowning and needs your help, even if it's for you to take them for a warm meal, get them a coffee, or God forbid you touch them because they're homeless. I go out of my way to touch the homeless. And it usually makes them cry because some of them have said, I haven't been touched in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. And that, imagine, I think, when you guys went out with me and when I took the whole team out, you asked me how do, people end up homeless? How does this happen to veterans? And I said, well, imagine that you have a job, but that job also provides your living, your food, your purpose, your camaraderie, everything. And I say, hey, in a couple weeks from now, you don't have your job anymore. So you got to go find a new job and a new place to live and all of your food, which you haven't been budgeting for. And oh, by the way, your whole team's gone, all your buddies and all of your purpose. Absolutely nuked in just a second. And I think most people can agree that would be very scary and that would put you in a very desperate situation. And that's how we transition all these veterans. So if you know people getting out, make sure that they have a long enough runway to take off. I think that I would encourage all veterans, especially if you live in San Diego, reach out to us because about every 60 days we do a homeless walk. We go out to find veterans, see if we can get them off the street. If you have in your heart to go do this hard work and go talk to people, it will change the way that you look at your fellow brothers and sisters. It will change the way that you look at homeless people. And if you're reading this article and you're out in deep water, trying to battle the VA by yourself, we are here to help you. We will do what we did for Mike Dolbo. We will find you. We will save you. We will put a kind hand on you and change your life.
I was sleeping in a veterans homeless shelter in San Diego. One backpack, no job, and no idea what was coming next. I was tired, angry, embarrassed. I served my country and somehow I ended up here. Then I met Rob Garcia. He didn't care about my past, my mistakes, or the fact that I was in a shelter. He saw potential. He saw a brother in arms who needed a hand up. He took me to a huge steak and seafood lunch and listened to my story. Rob showed me how to regain my dignity. After we went to a veterans event, I felt emboldened to win, being around my brother and sisters. It was very patriotic and I felt like I had purpose again. Rob showed up after telling my story online and handed me a check for $2,600. It was more money than I have seen in years. Thanks to Rob, I went from homeless to hopeful, from surviving to serving again. This time through purpose and entrepreneurship, such as my voiceover work and creative projects. This isn't just a story about me. It is a story about what happens when one vet refuses to let another fall. Rob would go on to bring the VetComm team to my door, and boy, did they deliver.